Hello, friends. Hello. Raquel from Our Infinite Nature here with you, along with
Sarah from the Hellafluid Collective.
we are happy to be here together. We're happy to be here sharing about the energies coming towards us with the upcoming full moon in Taurus on November 15th. I do want to state that we are meeting and filming this on November 6th of 2024, the day after the federal election, and we're feeling. I'm just going to leave it at that. But we are
We're
feeling.
feeling.
Um, the information that we're about to share in terms of the astrology of this full moon and in terms of what I got energetically and intuitively, we're just going to share what we got. We looked at all of this prior to yesterday, prior to, the election itself and the results. But it's the themes will come through. The themes will come through. So let's speak a little bit about the themes of the Taurus full moon. The theme that I intuited, which I do for every lunation, for this Taurus full moon is indulge in radical change.
Mm,
Indulge in radical change. Now, we all might be feeling a little bit of like radical change right now, and maybe
yeah.
it feels like radical change not in the direction we were hoping to see change move in. What's interesting though is that we're feeling this way a week before the full moon, and there's still more radical change to come with this Taurus full moon, and especially with some of the astrological transits we're seeing happening right around the 15th. So we're going to talk about that today
Yes, we
and
are.
hopefully provide some hope and perspective just for moving through these radically transformative times that we are currently living in. So let's just talk a little bit about the energy of Taurus itself. Taurus is the fixed earth sign. Taurus is known to love security and stability and comforts and luxuries and sensual pleasures. Taurus will always opt for, a weekend in a luxury hotel ordering room service as opposed to perhaps maybe like camping. Although
Yeah.
both are great. Both are
So
great.
spot on.
But the Taurus energy is going to go more for your glamping style of camping.
Yes.
With that fixed energy, Taurus is also on the shadow side known to be pretty resistant to change, which is why it's interesting that change is such a big theme with this Taurus full moon. But that's because of Uranus, and that's because of the relationship, the conversation that Uranus, the planet of pretty sudden and like large scale change,
Disruptive.
yeah,
Yeah.
disruptive, is bringing in. So, Sarah, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's happening with Uranus on this full moon?
Yes. So Uranus and this full moon, the day that it's full, they're going to be at 1 degree apart. So in astrology, that's enough to make it conjunct.
Yeah,
And when we have a conjunction, it means that these two planets, or the moon is a luminary, but we'll just call it a planet for the sake of this conversation. They come together, they're in the same room, they're right next to each other, and they're putting their energies together and kind of creating a third energy, if you will. And so, with the moon, it's all about our emotions, our inner self, our instincts, our reactions,
yeah,
those instinctual reactions as well, too. The things that change pretty quickly, just like the moon is the fastest moving planet or luminary. Um, it cycles through all the things within a month.
yeah,
So that's the moon, and it's coming in conjunct with Uranus, which is all about disruption, which, may have a negative connotation, but disruption is more about sudden change, changes that you didn't expect
yeah,
to come.
yeah.
But when we don't expect something, it puts our mind and ourselves in a new space, which then we have to be innovative in order to figure out what to do next. So, although it might be a little scary, especially with the Taurus energy, we like to hold on and stay safe and stable.
Hmm.
That Uranus energy is asking us to, you know what, we need to reframe it, think of it in a different way, think of another solution. And Uranus is also very involved with because of all these things, it's very involved with liberation and
Yeah,
freedom and independence. And so, yeah, it kind of gives me a glimmer of hope, seeing that, especially Taurus also rules money,
yeah.
rules our material comforts.
Well, I also
And
think about the fact that Taurus is ruled by Venus. And Venus
Yeah.
is the planet of the feminine, of the
Yes.
woman. And with the outcome of the election as it is, it doesn't imply that the feminine is not still rising. I think that
Right.
regardless of whoever is in power, that energy of the feminine rising is happening and the momentum of
Yeah.
that is happening regardless.
Right.
Um, and
Maybe in
so,
more unexpected ways than what
yeah,
we were thinking.
yeah, yeah. Very
Yeah.
unexpected ways for sure. And it is really interesting because Taurus, the shadow side of Taurus is so resistant to change, is so, I'm just going to stick with what is because it's comfortable.
Yeah.
Like the energy of Taurus on the shadow side, it really can get stuck in the comfort zone. I have a Taurus moon. I really resonate with it.
This is your full moon, baby.
I'm not called out. What?
Yeah.
Um, That being said, there's also the moon is always guiding us back into wholeness, right? So the moon, in this sense, with this full lunation in the sign of Taurus, with Uranus right there next to it, hanging, holding hands with each other, we're really being guided to kind of ease through our own discomfort
Mm,
through the change, to recognize that the things that we think are comfortable, like, are they really comfortable? You know what I mean?
yes. Right.
Is our comfort zone really comforting us?
Right.
Is it really?
And is what we, if we're not, if we're kind of chasing for a certain level of comfort,
Mm,
is that actually going to make us comfortable? And just really digging into why do we think we need this package in order to be comfortable?
right.
And could
Well,
we be comfortable with a different package or with something else?
right.
Like, do we really need a 5 bedroom house, or could you actually make a 3 bedroom house totally work? Like, are we stri pushing ourselves out of our limits for these things that we feel society is telling us we need to be comfortable or successful or whatever it is? Or could we be comfortable with something else?
Yeah.
And not saying, maybe you do need 5 bedroom house. No, no hate to that. I'm just saying
Yeah.
it's personal to each person of like, oh, like maybe I can actually really make this work. And there's other perks to this other situation that I hadn't thought of before because everybody is saying you need this to work. And we do have a little bit of support coming in
Yeah.
with Pluto with this full moon too, which is why I bring in this level of external forces because Pluto, during this full moon, Pluto will still be in Capricorn. It'll be a few days out from finishing its transit in Capricorn, but that means
Yes.
it's in the 29th degree, so it's as Capricorn as it gets, and it's really teaching us all these lessons that it's been doing for the past 20 something years.
Yep.
And Capricorn is all about the systems that structure society. So that's why I bring in this element of like, what are these external forces that we're feeling from society that we might be putting on our connection to comfort and money and stability?
Yeah. And obviously, post a big election, that is very in our faces.
Yeah, girl, it
Very
is.
in our faces. And, speaking about Pluto, like, another reason that this full moon is really encouraging for us to not only allow but embrace and indulge in radical change is because of these other transits, like Uranus being next to the moon and also Pluto moving from Capricorn into Aquarius just a few days after this full moon on November 19th. And we've talked about this before. I know in the Moonblog, we shared about this because Pluto did move into Aquarius already in 2024. It was in Aquarius from January all the way to September 1st. So we had like a little bit of like a preview of that energy. But we also knew it was going to be moving back into Capricorn, and we knew it was going to be in Capricorn over the course of this election. So, some of what we're seeing in terms of that, the structures and systems that be not wanting to be disintegrated, not wanting to be
Right.
revised. A nice way of
Right.
saying it,
Yeah.
refined,
Right.
and this like
Well,
clinging to the old, clinging to the old.
exactly.
But what's so interesting is we have this full moon coming in Taurus that's like you can't cling to the old anymore. The new is coming, whether you're clinging or not. And so that's why, I don't know, personally, I'm an intuitive. I read present energy. I'm not an intuitive who makes predictions about the future because my belief and my experience is that the future is volatile. The future is always changing based on what we do here today.
Yes.
Um, that being said, just what we're seeing astrologically, I wouldn't be surprised if more surprises come, if more changes come in this next week between us filming this video and the actual full moon in Taurus on the 15th, and a few days later, the move from Pluto into Aquarius on the 19th. And,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
Aquarius is the sign of collectivism in so many ways. It's a sign all about social, I don't know if it's really social justice as it is so much like social like liberation. You talk about it. You're the astrologer, Sarah.
Yeah.
Tell us about Pluto and Aquarius.
Yeah. Well, Aquarius, what I love about Aquarius is that in modern astrology, it's ruled by Uranus, which we've been talking a lot about. And it's, about that disruption. It is about collective liberation.
Yeah.
And you can't have collective liberation without some sort of collective justice. So they go hand in hand.
Also,
Um,
we can't have collective liberation without the full collective. And I've been
exactly.
seeing a lot in this last year of people talking about the collective liberation, but not with them, and not with them, and not with them. And that is not collective liberation. So
That's
just wanted
literally
to
in the
state
word
that.
collective, right? Right. And I mean, that's also part of it too, is that with Aquarius, there's this sense of individuality and collective
Yes.
and the
Yes.
collective together. They're not separate.
It's
In
very
order
crown
for the
chakra.
collective, yeah, right. In order for the
Hmm.
collective to work as like a cohesive team,
Yeah.
everyone really has to tap into their unique individuality. And instead
Yes.
of just doing, oh, what Capricorn, what we think is status quo,
Yes.
what we think will get us the most money, it's like, no, I really need to tap into who I've been called to be in this
Yes.
lifetime and
Yes.
putting that into the collective. I just got the chills.
I know. I'm
That's
like,
my biggest thing.
bring it. Yes.
Right? That feels really good and it gives me a lot of hope.
Yeah.
Um, what's happened this week, like, as we were saying before the call, the astrology doesn't feel lined up, but again, there's a lot more big changes coming
Yeah.
that I just think things that we couldn't even imagine would
Yeah.
happen. Um, and that's what Aquarius and Uranus is all about, is really unexpected changes.
Yeah.
We couldn't see it coming.
Yeah.
So that could go in, many directions, though. There is a sense of detachment with Aquarius.
Mm,
So it's not necessarily like compassionate like Pisces, that's kind of the next stage.
yeah.
But I feel like the benefit to that is that it brings a sense of objectivity,
Yeah.
which can help solve the problems,
Yeah.
or it can further detach people from the issues at hand. So
Yeah.
that's
It's
kind
always
of
our choice.
there's
Always our
always free
choice.
will. Like,
Yeah.
like you said with predicting with mediumship and intuitiveness, same thing goes for astrology. We
Yeah.
can say all this energy is available, but our free will takes takes precedent. So
Yeah.
you can do whatever you want with the energy. You can ignore it. That's why, yes, we can predict what energy is available, but doesn't mean that we as a collective or society are going to use it.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always free will. And
Yeah.
yeah, and when I think about with things like this, when we can feel into like something still is coming, like there's still big change coming. There's like still like big energies coming our way. I know as an intuitive, like there's these moments where I'm like, tell me what's happening. I want to know. But like that's not the first of all, that's not the way my intuition works. I am
Right.
much better at intuiting and feeling in for people who are not me because I am filled with lots of opinions and biases. Yay! Just I'm a human, right? And those
Right.
things
That's what we
will,
are. Yeah,
yeah,
that's what we
and they'll
do.
dilute what we get, right? And it's just important to note that because it will dilute and infer what we receive. But one of the things I've noticed even when I do readings for other people where I do have more neutrality is spirit does not like to let us know of the surprises that are coming.
Right.
They don't want to do that. It's not in our best interest
Right.
because ultimately what it often does is shifts the behaviors that could lead to whatever outcome we are wanting to get to.
Right. It's like
Um,
time travel where they say you can't
yeah,
change the
yeah,
past because you create a paradox. Like
exactly,
the
exactly.
universe is with it.
Yeah, it can create paradox. Also, I mean, sometimes when I'm doing a lot of intuitive work, and I'm really in the, I don't know how else to describe it, but like the quilt of it, like this multi-dimensional quilt of existence is what it feels
Beautiful.
like when I'm like trying to tap
Yeah.
in and connect. Um, it's just there's just these moments also where they're like, we don't want to tell you because it kind of ruins the fun. It like from the perspective when we're in it here as humans and we're in it, it does not feel like a game. It does not feel fun. Yet what I keep getting from those who have crossed over as a medium, and what I get from spirit in doing reads is that like it actually really is a game. And that's not to diminish the importance of
No.
the work that we do down here by any means. It's to kind of ease the level of pressure that we place on ourselves and on reality.
Mm. That makes
Because
sense.
reality is something that we are co-creating at every moment. And there's this sense of if we were to know exactly what was to come, it would just completely take away from the experience, the soul's journey itself. And
Yeah.
it would kind of negate why we even come here to begin with. So,
Exactly. Exactly. No, that makes so much sense.
yeah.
That makes so
Um,
much sense. I like what you said about, the little tidbits we get and with astrology and things that can kind of
yeah.
help us just have a little insight. I feel like it just does exactly that, eases the pressure a
Yeah.
little bit so that we can lean into the moment at the present moment at the time.
Yeah. And so while neither Sarah or I know what's going to happen, while neither or not Sarah or I can tell you what the next 4 or 5 years are going to be, no one can. Nobody can. Okay. One thing we can share and state is that regardless of what happens, we are supported. Regardless of what happens, there is a larger trajectory at play that leads to a what I believe is an evolvement in human consciousness. And perhaps we believe from our human perception that it has to look this way to get to that point, but we don't see everything, and we're
Right.
not supposed to.
Right. Beautifully said.
So, some things we'd like to leave you all with in this moment of uncertainty is that we do have a full moon in Taurus next week. That we can guarantee because
Yeah.
that's the moon and that's what it does.
She's consistent.
You know, the earth rotates around the sun, and like that, I like to call nature the real, real in these moments because we can ground
Yeah.
back into the real, real when
That we can count on.
we're dealing with the more complex reality of like human creation. But anyway, what we can guarantee is we have a full moon in Taurus next week that is ushering sudden, disruptive, yet transformative change. And with this full moon in Taurus, we have Uranus who is holding our hand, guiding us into this change, letting us know it is in the best interest. And we also, a few days later, have Pluto, the planet of death and rebirth, the planet of human metamorphosis, the planet
Mhm.
of the underworld, and yet transformation. Pluto is moving out of Capricorn, the systems and structures, the past, moving into Aquarius, innovation, progress, collective liberation. So, regardless of what the outcome is, those energies are there for us. Those energies are there for us. And then we have choice with what we do with them.
Yes, we do. Beautiful.
Yeah. So that's where we're going to leave it for now. And,
Yeah, that's perfect.
one of the great things to note is regardless of what happens, we share resources in places like this.
Yeah.
We create more community. We love and support our people even more. And that could be some of that increased consciousness that can come that we're leading to regardless. So a
Yep.
little bit of faith, a little bit of trust, and a little bit of like there's just more changes coming and we're not gonna know and we're
Not
not
gonna
meant
give up.
to. We're not meant
Yeah.
to.
Like you said, we can give in, radical acceptance, but we're not
Yes.
gonna give up.
Yes. Give
Yeah.
in, don't give up. Mm. Well, friends, we love you. We support you. We've got this. And we'll be back in 2 weeks to talk about the next lunation. Thank you so much for
Beautiful.
watching. Do all the things, subscribe, share, like, and if you want more information, including ways to work with the moon, more on the astrology, please check out the Moonblog listed down there. Down there is all the details. All right, friends, thanks.
All the
See you next
deets.
time.